What's going on, everybody, and welcome on into episode 298 of the Garage Beers podcast, brought to you proudly here on the OBR streaming network. Oh my God, are we starting this way? Are we starting episode 298 with Joe's microphone just not connected to his computer?
No, it's
There he
speakers.
is.
It's the speakers, not the microphone.
My God, I get you a brand new microphone, and we're already having issues with it. Already.
No, we are good.
Anyways, back to the intro. I was on a roll. I was feeling good about that intro, and then we got this going on over here. Episode 298 of the Garage Beers podcast, brought to you proudly here on the OBR streaming network. The Orange and Brown Report is the oldest, largest independent Cleveland Browns coverage site in all of Cleveland. It's also just one of the great communities, and it's been one of my favorite parts of my new job is that I have just a minute throughout the day. I have a little time where I can really become a little bit more involved in the communities, ask the insiders and Rumor Central and the water cooler and all that at theobr.com. It's just a fun way to connect with fans, to connect with insiders, to get inside info. So the OBR is just the best place for it. If you want to subscribe to the OBR, get over to the QR code on the screen. That'll take you directly to the subscription page, and you can get subscribed there. While you're hanging out and doing subscriptions and stuff, get over to the social media networks, whether it's X at the Garage Beers, whether it's TikTok. I think it's Garage Beers Podcast, maybe. I don't really remember. Yeah. I'm on that thing all the time, and I don't remember what it's called. Get over to TikTok, get over to X, get to Facebook, whatever, and just make sure you're following the show. We've got big stuff coming up. And you're not going to want to miss any of it. So big show coming up for you tonight here on episode 298. You will notice on the screen that we have somebody conspicuously missing, and no, it's not because he is stuck trying to get his kid to go to sleep. Instead, our buddy Chad had a commitment work on the Monsters game tonight, actually. And he had to go to that. And so you're going to hang out with me and Joe, and we are going to talk about a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about kind of putting a bow on the college football season and Indiana and national champs and what the playoff was and all that now that we can look back in hindsight. And we're going to talk about, I cannot wait to get into this, Joe. We're going to talk about the Baker Mayfield, Kevin Stefanski drama that happened last night. I cannot wait to get into that. Then at 9:45, we're going to have our special guest come in, and I don't know for sure, but I want to say she has the most appearances. It's got to be down to her, maybe Tim Alcorn, Dave Metzold's got to be high on the list.
She might have it. I was going to say her, Dave are probably right there. Tim, I think, is right there too. But
I got to think our special guest tonight is maybe the most appeared special guest in Garage Beers history. She's been doing this with us for basically all 6 years that we've been doing it. We're coming up on 6 years. But Camryn Justice from Channel 5 here in Cleveland. Normally we have her on to do the schedule game. I'm really excited to have her on this show because it's not quite as structured. It's not quite as, we don't have to go from this game to this game to this game to this game. We can just talk about the Browns, and we can talk about the coaching search, and we can talk about just the state of things. And there's not many people that I want to listen to talk about it more than Camryn Justice, because she is just one of the best beat people that we've got here in Cleveland. So we're going to bring her on at 9:45. Plus, we'll try to get to some quick hitters, some fun stuff going on with the Blue Jackets, fun stuff tonight going on with the Cavaliers. They're seemingly figuring things out. So there's just a lot to get to, and we're going to try to get to as much of it as we can here. Again, with you as always, I'm your host, Michael Keefe. Joining me from out there in Seattle, Washington, it's Joey Whalen. What's up, Joe?
So there's a big electromagnetic storm this week that you're supposed to see northern lights with. And I think you might have had this in Ohio a couple years ago when there was a big storm. I will say, I know it gets way more intense where you can like see it to the naked eye, but it is kind of sad when like you can only see it through your iPhone. And like, I just want to be able to like see the lights, you know?
I will say when we had it, I think it was, I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago, the first 20 minutes, because we went outside to try to look for it.
Yeah.
And we couldn't see anything. We're about to go to sleep. It was like 11:30 at night or whatever. And then all of a sudden I like leaned back. I was on the front porch. I remember leaning back and the sky was just glowing purple and green. And I was like, oh my, I looked at my wife. I go, I don't know how it works. I don't know if this is even how you're supposed to talk about it or if I sound like a moron, but I was like, they're over our house. Like they were over our, they were. And we walked out.
It's a wave. Yeah.
And for like the first 20 minutes, the sky was ablaze, naked eye, like It was unbelievable. Then as it faded, you could really get some good shots with your phone, but it started to fade to the naked eye. But I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So we got a little glimpse, but want
All right.
more. Also, don't want I want too much. I want more, but I don't want to see it at like 2 a.m. kind of thing, because that's when it was probably peaking the most.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. It's fair.
Yeah, my time.
Well, hey, listen, I hope you get to see him at some point. You live in Seattle, so I'm sure you will. But we want to welcome all of you that are joining us live. I see Chris here that says, hey, Mike and Chad and Cam. Screw you, Joe.
Damn.
Wait, Chris came back. Chris came back. Hey, Mike and Joe. That's fine. He's going to give you try. If you mess with your microphone, Chris is the guy that's calling you out.
I gotta tell you what. One of my biggest pet peeves is like the chewing mouth noises. And I listened back to the first episode I had this. I was like, oh shit, I was like right on that mic that whole time. So we pushed it back a little bit.
Knock it off.
That's pissing you off because it was pissing me off.
Knock it off. Pat Shea in the comments would never miss a date with Camryn, and we're getting another one here. Chef Brian K wants to know where Chad is. Chris says has to do the Monsters game. Who are the Monsters? And then Chef Brian K says no clue. Chris, is this a real thing?
No.
Do you guys not know who the Monsters are? The hockey team in Ohio or in Cleveland? The Cleveland Monsters?
Oh, is it Cleveland? It's not Lake Erie anymore, is it?
It's the Cleveland Monsters, but they're the Monsters. They're like, they're awesome. You got to know the Monsters. All right. I don't know if that was true or not, but Sean, evening, Sean. I like that Phil, who is not a bot, says Phil's office is next door to an Asian market, so a Tiger Lager.
Ooh,
yes, love that. A little Tiger Lager out of Singapore. A lot of Singapore. And I forgot Chris is from Indiana. And Chris, we're going to lead off with your favorite topic. So you want to just buckle up. You might want to just buckle up, buddy, because we're finally, after weeks and weeks of Chris putting Indiana in all caps in the comments, we're finally going to talk about Indiana.
Oh, we got to eat so much shit on this one, Mike.
I have to eat a lot of crow on this. I have to eat a lot of crow on this. Yes. Yes, there are people from out of town. The Cleveland Monsters are the minor league team of the Columbus Blue Jackets, and they're awesome. They draw like 12,000 people a game, which for minor league hockey is awesome. And they benefit from being in the same building as the Cavs. And if you know anything about the Cavs and the way that they put on games, their in-game special effects, all that for the Cavs is like as good as it gets. It is like top-notch, awesome stuff. And then the Monsters benefit from having all that technology in the arena. And so the Monsters, going to a Monsters game, I'll go with people. I was there with our buddy Matt Pfeffer last year, who is a big Blue Jackets guy. He lives in Columbus. And he said it. He's like, every time I come up to one of these games, it's like I feel like I'm at an NHL game. Like that is the show that they put on. So it is awesome. Chef Brian K, drinking a little Earl Grey hot. Can't go wrong with that. So listen, we're going to get into everything, but we've got a couple things to talk about before we do. We're going to do our Garage Beers of the Week in just a minute, but I want to throw something up on the screen because I want you all to start getting excited for it. Today is episode 298 of the Garage Beers podcast, which means in just 2 weeks, episode 300 of Garage Beers is coming at you. And I know we say this a lot, but we try to get the best guests that we can possibly get every week. And sometimes we can't get a guest and we just talk sports. And some of those are our favorite episodes. Sometimes we get guests that say yes to us that blow our mind. And I think we've been lucky to make some friends here in Cleveland in the media market and all that, we can usually find somebody before you, but we really try to go all out. For these kind of centennial episodes. So if you'll remember episode 100, if you've been rocking with us since episode 100, you'll remember that we had Joe Thomas. And we had Austin Carr, and we had Rick Nash, and just three absolute legends, just guys with names in rafters, legends for episode 100. And if you'll remember, episode 200, basically 100 weeks ago, it was the two-time Heisman Trophy winning Archie Griffin. It was one of my all-time favorite Cleveland Browns players of all time in Eric Metcalf. And the last one was a guy that should be in the Hall of Fame, a guy that every time the Major League Baseball starts coming out with their Hall of Fame voting, it just pisses me off because this guy is such a clear Hall of Famer and his resume so clearly states Hall of Fame. It's kind of like Clay Matthews with the Cleveland Browns, but Kenny Lofton was our third guest there, and he was unbelievable. So episode 300 is coming at you in 2 weeks, and I can tell you this already. We're not going to give away any guests yet, but we're working on a 3-guest episode again, and I can tell you right now we have locked in a Cleveland Indians baseball legend that you'll want to hear. It's going to be grand, if I can say that. It's going to be.
I'm very excited. That just got locked in a little bit ago, and that is I cannot wait for that interview.
We also have we're pretty close on some other things that may be timely. I don't want to spill all the beans. So, but again, we're gonna have major guests joining us for episode 300, and you're not gonna want to miss it. That's in 2 weeks, so mark your calendars. All right, Joe, let's do our garage beers of the week, and why don't you kick us off?
Shit. Why don't you kick us off, Mike? Because
I'll kick us off. All right. God, get ready for the show, Joe. All right. We've got just a couple of these little like hidden great beer stores. Like I talk a lot. I should actually go talk about these guys and see if they want to just advertise on the show. The One Stop on 611 out here in Avon. It's just an all-time great beer store.
Great. They got an incredible selection.
It's amazing. I've talked a lot about a place in Lakewood called Simone's that has an all-time great beer selection.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's this hidden place that you never know about. And I know I've talked about it a little bit, but if you're in Bay Village, and you're in like that kind of Bay Square area where like Dairy Queen is or the Bay Diner or whatever, right across whatever street that is, there's it looks like a convenience store. It just looks like your average run-of-the-mill, everyday convenience store that you run into when you run out of mayonnaise or whatever. But the guys that run that store just love supplying it with great beers. And so you go into that store and there's just this massive selection of beers. And in that store, they have beers from a place that I would rank in my top 5 breweries in the country. And it's up in Massachusetts, and it's not Treehouse, but it's the other one. It's Trillium. And they sell Trillium beers at that store. And I have got the Fort Point IPA from Trillium in Massachusetts. I don't know if Joe Mannix is here tonight. I know Joe loves to drink his Treehouse. If he knows about Treehouse, he knows about Trillium. And it's just a great New England IPA, and it is delicious. So that's my beer of the week.
Hell yeah. I do have that beer store, like that one that I love. It is like a little ways away, and it's not close yet. So maybe we got to find one a little closer. It's like 40 minutes away from me right now.
That's fair.
I did find this beer. I don't know if it's good. We're about to try it. This is from Scuttlebutt Brewing Company.
That's what I'm talking about.
Washington. This is the 10 Below Ale from Scuttlebutt.
The old Scuttlebutt.
I think it's just a winter lager. Oh,
that's a dark lager.
That is a good hearty winter ale. Holy smokes.
Yeah. Scuttlebutt your way right into that one.
That is it's like the Sam Adams winter ale, but with like a little like nutmeggy notes. Like it's almost leans a little Christmassy. So that's delicious.
Leaning into the winter side of it. Love that for us. All right. Well, hey, those are our garage beers. Look at my buddy Klinger here in the comments, Mrs. Treehouse. Well, you're going to have to go up to Massachusetts. Listen, just because I've switched some things up in my life doesn't mean I'm not going to make the road trip every now and then, Klinger. So if you want to join, let's jump in and go up to Treehouse. We'll see my buddy Joe Mannix from the comments. Also, I love that you guys are talking hockey, talking about Crusaders games at the Coliseum and talking about growing up, going to hockey games. I love that this is happening in the comments. So this is phenomenal. All right. Those are our garage beers of the week. Again, if you are drinking with us, go ahead and throw yours up, whether it's an alcoholic beverage or whether you're like Chef Brian Kane, you're having a nice tea. That's cool too. We like that. We appreciate all beverages because again, the point of this show is like you're hanging out in the neighborhood garage. And we're talking sports, so you can bring whatever you want. There's no judgments here. All right, so Joe, let's kick things off with college football. Because the college football playoffs are officially over, and the Indiana Hoosiers are national champions. And not only are the Indiana Hoosiers national champions, but the Indiana Hoosiers are national champions in a convincing way, the same way the Ohio State Buckeyes were national champion last year, where they went into that college football playoff and dominated.
Absolutely decisive national champions.
And look at the teams they played. They destroyed Alabama. They destroyed Oregon for the second time. Do you know how hard it is to beat a team twice in a year? They destroyed Oregon. And then they get to Miami. And man, what a run that team had. And
yeah,
that was the last team in the playoff. That was the team everybody was arguing Notre Dame should have been in over. And they were awesome. And they were awesome in the national championship game. And they had the ball with a chance to win it. Nobody had played Indiana that close except for Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. It's the only team that played Indiana that close. And Miami had a chance to win, and they came up short in the end, and Indiana made a play. But I think the first thing I have to do here, Joe, and I don't know how you feel, but the first thing I have to do, I got to eat crow on this.
Yeah. Good old Curt Cignetti, man.
Yeah, I heard Curt Cignetti come into Indiana, the basement team, the team that's lost more football games than any other team, or whatever the stat is. Yeah. And I heard here's this dude from James Madison talking all big about stuff, and he comes into Indiana and he says, "Google me, I win." And I wanted to throw up in my mouth. I still to this day one of my least favorite quotes I've ever heard anybody say. Google me, I win. Okay, all right, Curt Cignetti from JMU, who is now at Indiana, like anybody's going to be afraid. And 2 years in, man, and he built a program, and he understands. It shows this fundamental understanding that he has of the way college football is done in 2025, 2026. And he gets it probably better than anybody else. And I think it's fair to say that. And I need to eat crow because I thought when he first came in and started talking shit, I was like, okay, pal, we're never going to talk about you ever again until you get fired and you go back to somewhere small schools that nobody ever talks about anyways. And man, oh man, did he make all of us eat our words that doubted him. One of the more impressive things, when you consider, it would be like the Browns making a coaching hire this year, and next year they make the playoffs, and the year after that, Shedeur Sanders is first team All-Pro, and they win the Super Bowl. That's the equivalent. Yeah. That's the equivalent of what Curt Cignetti did.
Yeah.
Don't minimize what he did at all. That is the equivalent. The equivalent is whoever the Browns hire as the head coach this year is going to win the Super Bowl in 2 years. How ridiculous does that sound? That's what he did at Indiana. Insanely impressive, and he deserves a lot of people to eat crow like I'm going to do here, but he deserves all the praise. Unbelievable.
It honestly needs to be studied. I mean, we're seeing obviously a huge dynamic shift in college football and the coaching, process with the transfer portal and recruitment has just changed so significantly. It's why you don't see coaches like Nick Saban in the league anymore. He left at a time where, he did not want to go through the transfer portal and this process in this new era of college football. That guy is more than capable to coach a team. But I think from his viewpoint, he's like, I don't want to go forward with this. He's had a great legacy. But when you have somebody like Curt Cignetti come out of nowhere and in 2 years do what he did to this program, honestly, after 1 year, they had a hugely successful first year. And I think we just kind of wrote that off because they didn't make the playoffs. I think they had 10 wins the first year.
Right.
Just an incredible turnaround for the organization, but it needs to be studied. I don't watch a lot of ESPN 360 documentaries or whatever they are, but there should be a documentary on how he turned around this program because nobody's done it to that extent. There's coaches that have succeeded in this new era of college football, like Ryan Day, and there's coaches that are kind of fitting into this new style very well. And I don't know how you predict that. It's going to look like the greatest hire of any coach of all time, as far as I'm concerned. I can't think of a team that has been turned around quicker. Because also, it's not like you stay with the same guys when a coach comes in like that with this new transfer portal world that we're in college football. He is going out and recruiting active players in active schools. And everyone's doing that, but he did it better. And I don't know how you did that and convinced people to come to Indiana. Not that it's not a great school, but historically the football program is shit there. So it's like, how did you do that?
Yeah, listen, it like you said it, year one, they made the playoffs.
They did not make the playoffs year one.
Wasn't last year 1?
Yeah. Did they make the playoffs?
Yeah, they made the playoffs. They lost to Notre Dame in the first round of the playoffs.
Sorry, my bad. I misremembered that.
Yeah, and they like tried to mount a comeback in the fourth quarter in that game. They make the playoffs in year one. They win the championship in year two. And it is, yes, like if Phil is not a bot says Kurt Signetti doesn't do what he does in the non-NIL era, but sure. That is, here's the NIL era. It's here. We can't stop. We a lot of people, a lot of old school coaches got to get their head out of the fact that like, but in my era, nah, it's a different era. And look what this dude did. He went out there and he got guys that were good football players that maybe weren't necessarily making it on other teams, players that he identified winning traits in. And he's using the portal to his full advantage. He's using NIL to its full advantage. And you see, like, don't get it twisted. Indiana's a big-ass school with a big-ass base, and there's a lot of NIL money to be spent at Indiana. And he said, listen, if this is the rules, if this is how we're going to do it, then I'm going to do it this way. And he's perfected it, I think. Yeah. He's perfected it. Now, does it hurt that the quarterback that you brought in and identified from Cal, this Fernando Mendoza kid that was like an okay quarterback at Cal, like had his flashy moments, but he was fine. Does it hurt that you bring him in and he's the Heisman? I mean, Fernando Mendoza, I believe anything that kid tries to do at this point. Yeah. I believe in Fernando Mendoza. I believe to do what he did, to go from a guy that was like player at Cal to Heisman Trophy winner, undefeated season, the biggest reason your team is winning football games, national champion, you're going to be the number one pick. And I know everybody's like, yeah, but when was the last Heisman that was really great? Well, Joe Burrow. And I think Fernando Mendoza is the next one. I think the Oakland Raiders or the Vegas Raiders. If I was in charge of the Vegas Raiders, you could offer me every draft pick you have this year and next year, and I'm declining. I'm taking Mendoza. I'm getting my quarterback, and we're riding.
I don't disagree that I think he'll be a successful Heisman in the NFL, but I also get like Kirk Cousins vibes from him a little bit.
No,
I do.
Oh, the way he talks, like the personality, yeah. That
I know, but play. You never know.
Listen,
yeah, he's the Vegas Raiders are going to be incredibly lucky, and I agree. I don't think they're going to move out of that number one spot. Either that or Geno Smith next year, and they can't do that.
You know what the other thing about Mendoza is? As the team continued to succeed and prove everybody wrong, my feelings on Mendoza continued to change. Like, he's certainly the dweebiest of dweeby quarterbacks. Like, he is so dopey and derpy and dorky when he talks.
But also the nicest human being in the world.
For sure. But like, when you don't believe in them, it grates on you. Like, why you don't give me this emotional speech after you beat like Indiana State? Like, stop it. But then it goes on and on and on and on and on. And now I'm just sitting here going, I would listen to it. I would listen. If I was a Browns fan, I'd be like, yeah, let's do it, Mendoza. It's like, Baker, and we're going to get to Baker. We're getting to Baker.
We're getting to Baker.
But you know how Baker was pretty good at like trash talk and like, kind of having that little attitude about him. Fernando's not. He's too nice for trash talk, but he's just, again, I believe that kid is like King Midas to me. Whatever he touches is turning gold. That's how I think of him.
He's the kind of guy that will instantly, I think, adhere to a locker room. He's never going to have off-field problems. Like, he's a reliable option to have just in your locker room and with your team. And like, I think he'd be like an early captain for the Raiders. And it's just a good foreshadowing for the organization that drafts him. Who knows if he'll be successful? I'd like to think he would be, but also I feel like I strike out every time I think somebody's going to be good coming out of the draft. So quarterback wise, but yeah.
Once again, there's another team picking number 1 overall, which, by the way, I this point has come up a bunch of times. You know how people say if the Browns would have just lost their last 2 games, they'd be picking number 1 overall? No, they wouldn't, because Vegas would have lost their last game if the Browns were losing their games. Sure. Vegas would have been like, nope, none of you are playing. Hey, Ted, out of the stands, your left tackle, go. But again, in one of these drafts where there really is just one quarterback, like the obvious choice, some other teams at the top of the draft. If the Browns go to the top of the draft, there's like 4 guys, and they're all kind of good, but you don't know which one's really going to be good. And then you get a draft like this where it's like, yeah, Mendoza's 1. See what else happens. So the run Indiana went on was awesome. I wasn't sure we'd ever see something that matched what Ohio State did last year, right? Because it was so dominant. And they had that home game in the cold where Tennessee was just sure they were going to win. Remember, they showed up without their shirts on and shit. Idiots. And then it was Oregon, and they dominate Oregon. And then you have that Texas team that was really good, and man, it took them till the end, but you have that Jack Sawyer play and all that, and they beat Texas. And then they come out in the national championship, and it's just like, yeah, that's ours. Notre Dame, I'll never forget Notre Dame going down the field and scoring on their opening possession, and how exhausted Riley Leonard looked after he scored that touchdown. And I went, oh, Ohio State's got this. They got this.
Yeah.
But Indiana was just as dominant.
I don't know. What do you say, Mike? 3 first-round picks, and we jump up to number 1? Just run it back? Try that again for the next couple of years?
If I'm Vegas, I'm like, nah. No, thank you. Nope. I'm going to get my,
Andrew Berry will do it.
We know how important the quarterback is. Vegas knows how important the quarterback is. You don't let it get away. You just don't do it. I also want to just step back for a minute, Joe, and just kind of put a bow on the playoffs in general.
Yeah.
I think this was a very good college football playoffs.
I tend to agree. I feel like you had just a wave of new teams in the bracket this year. And that's like, that's what we talked about. That's like the huge benefit of this expanded pool is you do get those 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 seeds that, you would never see, or you wouldn't even watch their bowl game. But now you have, fun games with JMU this year. And, I thought Miami was going to be one of those teams, but made the final.
But Miami proved.
Yes.
Miami was the team. So I think this is what I had written down. I had it written down like round by round. You had the JMU and Tulane clunkers. They got to figure something out with that. I don't know what they got to figure out, but that doesn't work. That group of 5 thing, they got to figure out something different. But you had the clunkers there, but you had 2 really good games in the first round. You had Alabama and Oklahoma, and you had Texas A&M and Miami. That wasn't a good game, but it was a close game. You get to the second round. And you had clunkers with Oregon shutting out Texas Tech and Indiana just destroying Alabama. But still, what a great story that is. And then you had 2 good games with Miami taking down Ohio State, which is unbelievable. Nobody, not a person on the planet thought that was coming. And then, of course, again, Miami won. Who was the other team? Who am I leaving out?
Indiana and Oregon.
Oregon smashed Texas Tech. Indiana smashed Alabama. Miami beat Ohio State. And then who did Miami play in the semis?
Oh,
did Miami play in the semis? Oh, Ole Miss. Ole Miss won. Ole Miss beat Georgia. What a game that was.
Yeah.
Jesus, why did I forget that? So I think round 2 was entertaining. Really, the clunker game was Texas Tech and Oregon, because even the Indiana smashing Alabama thing was wild to watch.
Yeah.
The semis were good. Indiana smashes Oregon, but again, the story there is just to watch Indiana do what they did, unbelievable. And then again, you get Miami, and you get Ole Miss, and it's a good game. And Miami's defense, the whole way through, I think the stories were good, and I think Miami. I wrote this down. The best team, without question, it's undisputed. The best team of this college football season. Nobody can say anything otherwise is Indiana.
Sure.
But I think of the college football playoff, I think Miami might be the MVP. They're not the best team.
Were the Cinderella story.
They're not the best team, but they showed you. They were the last team in.
Yeah.
11 seed or 10 seed or whatever they were. 10 seed. But they were the last team in. And they were the ones that showed, like, this is how the playoffs should go, because that seed that maybe lost a game or two early in the season, then everybody's like, they shouldn't get in. Well, look what they can do if they get in. If they've got that kind of talent. Look at that defense, was unbelievable. I think Miami was the MVP of the playoff. I don't think they were the best team, but they were the MVP of the playoff.
That's exactly what we wanted to see. We wanted to see those fringe teams have success in this tournament, because they would just never have a shot before. I mean, if you weren't top 4, if you weren't top 2 way back in the day, you just weren't even in discussion for that. So to have the 10 seed of the playoff bracket come in and make it to the final, it's just incredible.
I love Chef Brian K in the comments. Yeah, once they get rid of the James Masons, just making up schools. It's got James Mason.
Yeah,
you know James Mason is.
I do agree. The Group of 5 thing was it's got to get fixed.
It does, but
you just pure rankings. I don't even know if you can do conference championships at that point, but I don't know. They have to figure something out there.
It's also just the fun. It's the fun of football. The best teams separated. You know, yeah. I will always say that I think baseball, basketball, hockey, like in professional sports, tend to get the true champions right, because to have to beat teams in 5 and 7 game playoff series, you usually have to be the better team. You kind of have to. You know, a team can get lucky and win a game here or there, but the better team's usually going to win those series.
Right.
It's a gripe I have with like March Madness and whatever, but it came to fruition in this one. Is the best team definitely won the college football playoff. And again, I think you have to be a soulless bastard to not feel happy, even though it's another Big Ten team. But when they were doing interviews, did you see the interview they did with the couple that's been an Indiana season ticket holder since for 60 years?
God bless them.
They've had Indiana season tickets for 60 years, this elderly couple.
That's incredible.
And all they've done is watch their team lose. That's all they've done. Yeah. That's all they've done. Again, it's like Browns fans that have been season ticket holders since the 70s.
Were they at the game?
Or whatever. I can't remember if they were at the game or whether they were at the celebration in Indiana, but they did they did an interview, and how could you not love it? I mean, as a Clevelander, forget about your college sports fandom, but as a Clevelander who understands that level of pain, to watch your team win a national championship after that long, great story. This is a damn near perfect college football season.
Yeah. Love it.
All right. Oh, man. Phil is not a bot. Just banging into Chris in the comments. So was that not you and your wife, Chris? With 60-year season ticket holders? I don't think Chris is that old. I don't think he's that old. All right, let's do this so I think we got about 7 minutes before Camryn gets here. And we can kind of lead this in and get her opinion on it too. But we normally would do our asshole of the week kind of right here in the middle of the show, where we call somebody or something out for being an asshole. Joe, do you have a quick one right off the top of your head?
Yeah, sinus infections and flying, man. Plugging up the ear on a flight is just the worst thing in the world, and it can just go absolutely F itself. I'm just unclogged now, but man, 4 days not being able to hear out my left ear is tough.
Yes. All right, that's a good one. I'm going to go with a very quick one here, because I think we're going to spend asshole of the week on the next topic. But I'm going to go with a quick one here. Companies that when you sign up for something, your email goes on file, but then they email you from 1,000 different email addresses, so you can never unsubscribe. You can never, unsubscribe, and then the next day you get an email from them, but you realize it's from a different branch of the company, and there's 1,000 branches. So you just can't unsubscribe for their emails. That is top level assholery, and it happens a lot. Prime example.
I say, do you want to call out somebody here?
Yeah, hell yeah. I'm a subscriber. I subscribe to The Athletic.
Oh, yes.
It's unreal. Why is The Athletic Ecuadorian League football page or whatever, my email subscribe to that. They sign you once it's like Athletic Sumo Wrestling, Subscribe. Yep. Once you are a member, they subscribe you to every email list they have, and it is a shit ton. And it took me forever to go through and get rid of it.
It almost made me unsubscribe from The Athletic like instantly. I was just like, this is way overload. I just want to go in actively and read articles. I do not need to be fed all this in my email. It's clogging my inbox.
But shit I don't care about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, anyways, let's go to the real assholery of the week, and it belongs to Baker Mayfield and Kevin Stefanski.
The situation. I don't know if we can call, like, yeah.
No,
I don't know if we can call Baker the asshole here.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Baker Mayfield and Kevin Stefanski both look like assholes in this situation. So let's talk about just really quickly what happened. If you didn't see it, I'm sure you did, but if you didn't see it yesterday, an article came out by somebody down in Georgia. Again, Kevin Stefanski is the new head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. But an article came out, and it was like kind of just trying to shed a positive light on Kevin Stefanski. And one of the things it said was that he had to deal with failed quarterbacks in Cleveland like Baker Mayfield and Deshaun Watson. Which, listen, here's where I don't think Baker is an asshole. You put my name in any sentence with Deshaun Watson that isn't Michael Keefe is just a straight better person than Deshaun Watson, I'm probably going to be pissed at you too.
Yep.
Like,
maybe the reporter's an asshole for that.
Yeah, for sure. And so Baker made a statement. I should have it right in front of me, but, you know, I'm super professional at this. Baker made a tweet that said, like, whoa, a failure, like saying I was a failure in Cleveland is a real stretch there, buddy. And then he talked about how he was basically thrown to the side like he was garbage, like he was trash, and how Kevin Stefanski never. Oh yeah, read it.
I can read it out. So this is Baker Mayfield replying back to the article. He said, "Failed is quite a reach, pal. Still waiting on a text call from him," referring to Kevin, "after I got shipped off like a piece of garbage. Can't wait to see you twice a year, coach."
Okay, so let's take it piece by piece for asshole of the week really quick. Let's take it piece by piece for asshole of the week really quick. The first sentence, failed is quite a reach, pal, right? Totally. I'm on Baker's side there.
Yeah.
Would I consider Baker Mayfield to be a failed quarterback in Cleveland? No. I think
we have many other examples of that.
Well, I think circumstantially failed. And I think if you were going by the textbook definition of a number one overall quarterback not making it to a second contract with the team that drafted him, yeah, okay, that's a failure. But it's very circumstantial. And Baker gave us some great moments.
Yeah.
The highs with Baker were high.
It's also, if you're comparing the failures of Baker to the failures of Deshaun Watson, those are apples to oranges, and you can't, those are not even in the same bucket, man.
Yes. So I don't necessarily think Baker's an asshole for saying, I don't think I was a failure in Cleveland, because to me, I was like, he made Cleveland football so fun for a few years, and I will always give him credit for that. What was the next sentence?
Talking about getting tossed aside, like after I get shipped off like a piece of garbage.
This is the one I take umbrage with. So I made a video on this yesterday, but I'm going to do it again here because I think we need a little history lesson on what went down.
Yeah.
So here's the history lesson, and I know you guys were all along for the ride. So join me as we walk down memory lane with Baker Mayfield. 4 years of Baker Mayfield, really like three plus years of watching Baker Mayfield as the starter. 2018, so fun. They didn't make the playoffs, but who gives a shit? So fun. The Greg Williams thing. Greg Williams and Freddie Kitchens were vibing on that coaching staff. They had things rolling. It was a blast. Baker, that Jets game, I'll never forget the pass he made in that Carolina Panthers game where he rolled out to his left and threw a seed to Jarvis Landry, who caught it in double coverage for a touchdown. Oh, God. Vibing in 2018. 2019, not vibing. And here's the problem I have with the Baker conversation. Again, I know we're doing this again. But anytime it's good, there's this segment of people that are like, well, that's Baker was good. Anytime it's bad, it's like, well, everything else was bad. Okay. 2019, let's just talk about Baker. Yeah, it's Freddie Kitchens. Okay, cool. Baker Mayfield couldn't stay in the pocket in 2019 to save his life. He rolled out right on every freaking throw. I don't know if you guys remember this. I hope you remember this. Baker wouldn't stay in the pocket. And he had no pocket presence, and he only
With
rolled
a fantastic offensive line, by the way.
Was okay in 2019.
2019?
Yeah, it was okay. Remember, that prompted them. It prompted them to draft a left tackle in 2020.
Right. That was post Joe Thomas.
Correct. It wasn't the worst O-line, but it wasn't great. But still, the slightest hint of pressure, Baker rolls right. And he would just consistently trap himself. He would cut the field in half. He'd have nowhere to go. 2019 wasn't very fun. They fire Freddie Kitchens. They hire Kevin Stefanski. 2020 is a blast. Again, we're back on track. 2020 is a blast. Would they win 11 games that year? 10, I think. I think they won 11
with in the wild card
Flacco. 10-6, I think. They go to Pittsburgh and just demolish the Steelers.
Game, dude. Oh, man.
And they, damn it if they didn't almost go to Kansas City and beat Kansas City. If it wasn't for a helmet-to-helmet hit that Nick Sorensen laid onto Hollywood Higgins that didn't get called.
Yeah.
Because Higgins fumbled the ball out of bounds into the end zone, and it totally fucked the Browns.
My least favorite role in all of football. But
2020, blast. 2021, not so great. Not great. Baker was injured, but Baker refused a lot of help when he was injured. And Baker was not overly cooperative when he was injured. And I think Kevin needed to be a little stronger with it, but he wasn't. But it wasn't fun. It wasn't great. And so in Baker's time in Cleveland, he had like 1+ great years. He had 2 not great years. And so what happened? And this is the thing that I think, there's 2 things that I think are the most important. One, hold on one second. I'm just checking on our guest here. One, they get to that extension year after the 4th year, and they have to like decide whether they're going to extend Baker or not. And that was not, people act like that was like a consensus thing, right? Now in hindsight, people are like, of course they should have extended Baker. Nah, that's not what we were talking about in 2021. We were all arguing. There were people saying they should extend him. There were people saying they shouldn't. It was not an obvious decision.
No.
Oh, hold on. Our guest is here, and I would like to bring her in because I want her a part of this. Because she is one of the greatest people to talk Cleveland Browns football with, and really Cleveland sports, but it's Cleveland Browns football. So we're going to bring her in right now from Channel 5 here in Cleveland, just covering all the sports, winning all the awards. And every time we have her on, all we see in the comments is just, oh, Camryn's my favorite. We're going to bring her in right now. It's Camryn Justice. Hey, Camryn, welcome back into the garage.
You guys are going to inflate my ego way too much. I mean, what a hype way to bring me in. That's so much fun. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Heck yeah. You listen, we were talking about this at the start of the show. We've been doing this with you for we're going on our 6-year anniversary is coming up in April.
That's crazy.
And you've been with us almost
nuts.
I think you did your first schedule game with us in 2020.
Yeah.
Wild.
But we're really excited for this, Camryn, because it's not the schedule game. We're not beholden to the schedule and what's next. We're just going to kind of free flow talk about the Browns. And we love this.
Because I got close to the number of wins. Certainly did not schedule game right. Oh my goodness. That did not go the way I anticipated.
You can always tell
that thinking I was like, I'm going to be harsh this year. And I think we summed it up with like 8 or 9 wins and it wasn't close.
I had 6, a generous 7 or 8 if I was being nice, and 5 not that far off from 6. But I definitely had like a Jets win, which did not happen. I had a Packers loss. I think I gave them a loss to the Pack. Everything was wrong, but like it somehow came together. That was like kind of similar to.
Can we talk about moment of the year when the Browns beat the Packers and then J.W. Johnson went online and talked shit to all the fans and then they just went on like a 100-game losing streak? That was great. Thanks, J-Dubs. Appreciate you doing that.
I will say I would be feeling pretty high too if I beat the Packers.
He didn't beat the Packers. He watched it. What are you doing talking shit to the fans? Get out of here. Oh, sorry. I have an issue with that. So Camryn, here's what we were doing. We were doing a little history lesson because in the middle of our show, we usually do a segment called Asshole of the Week. And there's been just some assholery going on with Baker Mayfield and the Kevin Stefanski situation and everything that went down. So I was doing a history lesson.
Yeah.
And we got all the way through Baker's tenure. And then you could jump. What was your first year with the Browns? I can't like covering the Browns.
Technically 2017, but I was at the University of Akron. It was just training camp. So my first year with News 5 was 2020, but it was like couldn't be there. So 2021 in person, 2019, 2020, like virtual.
So what I'm trying to do right now is bring a little logic into this situation before we really laugh about it. The logic is we got all through Baker's career, ups, downs, everywhere in between, but we got to that extension year. And a lot of people like to act now that it was just the obvious choice that they would extend Baker Mayfield. That wasn't it, Camryn, right? Like, what do you remember about that? The discussions around do they extend him or do they not?
Oh, there was so much infighting. It was, I mean, everybody had an opinion one way or another. Baker bros, that's what the term on Twitter. And if you were a Baker supporter, you were a Baker bro. And then if you weren't, then it was like, who are they gonna get? And then once the Deshaun thing happened, there were a lot of people who were very strong on the fact that they were going to get an elite quarterback in Deshaun Watson. And so it was not a consensus. It was unanimous by any means. And I remember like the conversations being, okay, if you extend him, what do you do? Like, how much would Baker Mayfield be worth? Do you give him a big contract to try to keep him? And I remember, like, me personally, I did think that there was another year in there. I thought maybe an extension, but not these max contracts, these huge contracts that other quarterbacks were getting. I was like, you got to find a way to show that he hasn't been as consistent as he needs to be, and therefore you can't pay him the big contract yet. Give him another opportunity to do that, 20, 30 million, not $50 million, like that kind of thing. And there were people that did not agree with that either. And so there was nobody was ever on the same page with that. It was a lot of chaos. It was never, it was, and like, I will say this, like some people didn't want Baker Mayfield, but that like, they still also did not want to have Deshaun Watson there.
Correct.
So like they wanted somebody else.
Everyone.
They didn't want that to happen. And so there's so many different opinions of like, do you keep Baker? Do you right there. Do you keep Baker and get somebody or get somebody else? Or do you get Deshaun Watson or do you get somebody else? There was a lot going on there.
Listen, so then it brings us to this because here's the umbrage I take with Baker's statement from yesterday that he was thrown aside with the garbage.
Yeah.
Baker is as complicit with the Browns signing Deshaun Watson as anybody else because remember what happened. Here's the history lesson again. And Camryn, you tell me if I'm messing anything up.
Go ahead.
Baker finds out that the Browns are looking at other quarterbacks. And they were looking at other quarterbacks. His contract's coming up. He's on the extension year. They're looking. And they get pretty involved in the Deshaun Watson conversation. But it was the Browns are involved. The Carolina Panthers are involved. The Atlanta Falcons are involved. And it was around this time that the Browns were informed they're not in the Deshaun sweepstakes anymore. Deshaun's going to look, I thought he was going to 100% to Atlanta.
He was.
Yep. And what happens right around there, though?
Trade request.
Baker Mayfield writes a letter to the city of Cleveland talking about, I'm out of here. I love you, Cleveland, but I'm not doing this anymore. Whatever he said in his letter. And he makes a trade demand. And to this day, I will tell you, Camryn, I think you're right. If Baker Mayfield would have never made that trade demand, he probably is still the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah. There's a lot of that that conversation goes so many ways. And sometimes I'm on one side and sometimes I'm on another of, did he need the experience to grow up, quote unquote, to mature, to be able to handle the role that he has now in Tampa Bay? And like, I can see both sides of that, but I do think there is a potential if that was allowed to happen, if the shoulder wasn't a problem in that next year, if he didn't demand that trade. And there was also, there was the chemistry mix of him and Kevin Stefanski, and that was always in question. But I don't think that the relationship had not soured to a point where it could not have been something that moved forward. So I always will wonder what would have happened. But yeah, 100% that doesn't happen. And you're at least considering whether maybe they go out and get a different quarterback. Sure. Maybe that's something that they explore, but it's not as pressing, and it might not be as, pivotal to them to have to play Deshaun Watson, because they have no, one, they thought he was going to be the guy, but it wasn't even as if they had much of a choice by that point, because you've lost out on Baker, and Baker, the person that he was compared to what he is now. That is a point of a relationship that you cannot get back. You can do trade requests, and you can leak, as a player, Goku had trade requests. Myles Garrett had the trade requests. Those were not in the same category as this from Baker Mayfield. This was I am gone, and you knew, knowing Baker and who he was at that point, he was gone. There was no mending that relationship. And so what do the Browns have to do if you don't have Baker Mayfield? And now you're out on Deshaun Watson, and whether or not they were obviously interested in Deshaun Watson, so that's not on Baker. Baker didn't
correct
interest, but because of that trade demand, and then the Browns being out in the sweepstakes of even consideration, Deshaun Watson had his mind made up somewhere else. How do you get him? How do you
guarantee that money?
You have to guarantee that money, and you have to give a bunch of first-round picks. And now this is why the Browns are in this position. It's a direct correlation, and it's not one person's fault.
No.
It is a whole perfect storm, but it was the domino. And I've seen the meme. I like the meme where it starts off with Anthony Schwartz stops the route, Baker shoulder,
and then there it is.
And you don't think you think that it's done. You're like, yeah, okay, that crazy. And now you've got Baker Mayfield tweeting Kevin Stefanski and them having to face each other twice a year. You're adding to the collection of the domino effect, but it's 100%. Was something that was because of the actions of Baker Mayfield, and then you can say, well, that was because of the actions of the Browns, and yes, you can go back and forth, but that moment,
but he's complicit.
Yes, that moment paved the way for where the Browns are at now. 100%. It would be a totally different story. Would it be successful? Who is to say? But it would be a totally different story. They would not be in the cap position they are. They would not be in the draft capital position that they have been for the past several years. It would be a lot different. And so, yeah, that was a history changing thing. I also took a little bit of exception to I thought it was funny, the tweet. I'm like, oh, hey, the banter, we're instilling a rivalry. That's going to be fun. But yeah, I think that line, I was like, well, it wasn't really they didn't toss you away like a piece of trash. They kind of forgot about you to the side for a second while they checked out this shiny toy. And then they were still they might have come back to pick you up, but then you were like, I'm out. So
they're making a business decision. It's an organization.
You can't.
You're like Woody ripping his batteries out once he saw Buzz Lightyear arrive. Woody made it, man. Andy got a shiny new toy, but Woody made it.
Bide your time. It was going to be okay. I think it would have worked out for Baker there. It worked out for him now.
Sure. Yeah, correct.
In the long
Baker's
run.
Fine.
Yes. But
I don't have a major issue with Baker, but what the tweet yesterday showed me was the stuff that bothered me about him when he was here is still there. If I never have to hear about Baker's chip on his shoulder ever again in my life, that is perfectly fine with me.
That's who he is.
The best part about this, though, what a hell of a year for us to play the NFC South.
Yeah, right. Well, we don't have to worry about Baker.
You can see both sides of it.
Having said that, do we have any inside knowledge? Is it true that they just didn't talk after this happened? Did Kevin not? I mean, I guess when you request a trade, what text or call are you looking for?
Yeah, I mean, a text
just hit me right now. What are you looking for?
I don't know what he would have wanted. Maybe something like a "Hey, thanks for everything." They gave him a post.
Hey, why'd you make that request?
Yeah.
Okay. Period.
Yeah, I think that's just, again, that's something that Baker has always done. And I, as a person who appreciates a little bit of pettiness, I appreciate that a little bit, especially when I don't have to deal with it. Like, this is like outside of me. Like, you guys do your thing down there. Like, I get to watch outside looking in. But yeah, I don't know what he would have expected. And I don't know. There hasn't been conversation. And that was something that Baker said when along the stops, when he was in Carolina, he was like,
Yes.
oh, and then when he went to LA, he continuously kind of insinuated that like it was bad blood, but like in a way that he was waiting for something.
Yes.
He'll appreciate it. So yeah, I mean, I don't know that they haven't spoken like at all. But I don't know that he's gotten the closure that he maybe is looking for. I don't know why he needs closure, but like maybe he hasn't felt the level of respect that he thought he deserved in that process, because I do feel like he felt jaded, and like we're past it, it's done, and he has moved on and found success. But I think it's like a breakup. It's like any breakup.
It's like a you broke up with me situation.
Yeah, but it's
right. Yeah.
But like somewhere in you're like looking for something. You're looking for an answer, looking for closure. It like eats at you a little bit. Like sometimes like in passing, you're like, what the hell? I feel like that is what this is. It was a bad breakup. Both parties had shared responsibility.
Yes.
In the relationship.
I'm very excited though. I will tell you, with all of it down. First of all, I love that Joe Thomas chimed in today.
I know.
But I will say, I don't think I've ever like marked on the calendar that I have to watch a Bucks Falcons regular season game. I'm watching those two games this year, 100%.
Well, I think we might get a moment. I think we might get some TV moments like the Baker Mayfield to Hugh Jackson, sideline situation.
Yes.
I think we are due for something like that.
It's been a hot second since Baker's grabbed his crotch on camera. So let's go. I'm ready for it.
Cleveland Baker down there.
Right. Let's stop talking about Baker Mayfield. Okay, so Camryn, let's talk about the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask you this. Well, actually, let's go back to this situation for 1 second, and then let's kind of move into this current Brown situation. We obviously see Baker, not the biggest fan of Kevin Stefanski. We saw some interesting things come out when the Browns fired Kevin Stefanski. I think the Carly Teller tweet was real interesting at the time. That was something I didn't really see coming. So it's left a lot of people with questions that because I think over the years of Kevin Stefanski being here, and Camryn, you've covered the team so closely. I think the perception of Kevin Stefanski that he was a pretty solid players coach. That was his perception. And you heard it out of guys like Shelby Harris and guys that raved about Kevin Stefanski. But then you see these little, like, you see the Baker jab and you kind of know where that's coming from. But the Carly Teller thing, and I know Wyatt had some issues this year. And was there some issues with Kevin Stefanski in the background from a player's perspective that you knew anything about, or that you heard anything about that? Like, a lot of people are asking questions about that.
Yeah, I don't think it wasn't this overwhelming. It's not like, oh, he never lost the locker room. Like, let's make that clear. We saw that they were playing hard in the last
right.
The locker room was not lost. Obviously, as with any, big group of people, large group of people working together, which is an NFL team, you have a 53-man roster and a head coach plus your practice squad, and you've got the front office and you got coaching staff, and all. There are going to be disagreements. There are going to be decisions made that maybe don't make you a fan if in any job, right? Like, do you love your bosses at every time? No. Do you love your coworkers at every moment? No. Like, there are times where you like things just aren't working with you and a specific person. And I think that those moments happen, especially when you look at the last two seasons and the Browns and their struggles. What happens when a team is struggling? You start
frustrated.
Yeah, there's frustration. You're grasping for solutions to fix things. You're looking for ways to get out of this slumps and to create success. And I think like with like Wyatt Teller and that situation, probably some frustration there of, he was dealing with a calf injury, but before that he was moved into a rotational role.
Right.
With Jenkins to see what Tevin Jenkins had. And that's not great for Wyatt Teller, who is, out there. He's been a staple of this team. This is his team. This is and it's a contract year. And it's, what are you doing where I'm not being able to go out there and put my stuff on tape? I need to be out there. I need to be playing. And so to put him in a rotational role was not great. But these are the decisions. Sometimes a coach has to make a decision. It's not going to hit well with everybody.
Yeah.
I think that's probably it. It's the same as the quarterback situation. He made a decision to name Dylan Gabriel QB2. People did not like that. And so, and you have fans calling for the change. And what are we doing? What are we doing? Some decisions work. Some decisions don't. Some decisions will make you a fan favorite. Some decisions will turn the lot on you. And I think that there were some decisions that obviously weren't well received by fans and by some players, especially when involving a player specifically. But I don't think that as an overall, I think he is a player's coach. I think he was very well respected. The Monday day he got fired, which was locker cleanup for the guys. I mean, the locker room, it's like a somber thing, talking to guys. And they're like, yeah, it's sad. It's sad anytime a coach, we don't ever want a coach to lose their job. Kevin's a great guy. So there's an overwhelming feeling of that. I don't, and that's not to undermine. There are relationships that just aren't as strong as others, and some that go through things. And I think Kevin Stefanski is a perfect example in his, what he said at his last press conference in Berea. Was just talking about David Njoku, who is entering a contract year, and asking about, his relationship with him. And he said, David didn't like me at first, thought I didn't like him at first, and we had to work through that. And it was, and now here they are, they're buds. Their relationship is goofy and fun, and that's just who they are. And that wasn't the case initially. So I think there's ebbs and flows. So probably some more, down relationships in a struggling 2 seasons that you can look to. But I take all of these with a grain of salt, because of course there's going to be frustration, but I don't know that it really signifies to me that everybody was anti Kevin Stefanski. I don't think that's the case. I think he was respected, but maybe some decisions weren't agreed upon. And there was questions of, okay, is this the right move? Is this the right thing? Is this what we need as a team?
Camryn, we've done this. This is episode 298. We are 2 weeks away from episode 300. And you'd think I'd know what I was doing at this point, and I don't. I forgot to even ask you. You came on with us, and you normally have a drink with us. Did you bring a drink? It's so rude of me to just ignore it.
How dare you?
I almost interrupted and just put it out there, because I was like,
well, yeah, I think you're our most appeared guest at this point, so you know how it goes.
That makes it sound like I drink a lot, which, guys, a normal amount.
Welcome to a place you will get no judgments.
Good, because I don't have beer in the house right now. I have a peach Bellini cider from Aldi on our last grocery run. It's been a while since we hit the grocery store. I've been doing a home chef, so I haven't gone to the store. So I could not bring a beer on, but again, I know what we do here, so I do have a drink. I was watching a struggling Cavs team in the third quarter. I thought, I need something stiff. And so I'm going bourbon on the rocks.
Oh, yes.
We've got, I actually have the bottle because it's so fancy and fun. We're talking football.
Ooh, so whoa.
We have the Canton Distillery brand bourbon whiskey, a limited edition, bottled in Cooperstown. But yeah, Canton Distillery brand. It's a limited edition bourbon, football, leather, pigskin cap. Very fun.
That is awesome.
I don't know if you can see here on the base, you've got
oh, you got the field.
Oh yeah, the field.
Mm-hmm.
No way.
That's cool.
It's the coolest bottle I ever saw. I was like, I gotta buy it, and this is my first time actually trying it. So
is it all right?
I don't know.
All right. Well, let's see. Oh, I'm sorry.
This is the first time. I was waiting for a cheers or something.
I'm such an idiot. Here, cheers to Camryn. I need to know a review on this bourbon.
All right, let's see. I like it.
Hold on. I have to do something in the comments here. Chef Brian K says it's not from Kentucky.
Oh, we've got that guy.
Hey, Brian, you are a chef. You're a food guy, man. Bourbon has to be made in America. It has nothing to do with Kentucky. Nothing to do whatsoever with Kentucky, and most bourbon is not made in Kentucky. It's made in Indiana.
No.
So come on, Brian.
Kentucky bourbon is pretty top. I will say, though, if you are a bourbon lover and you want an Ohio distillery, Middle West in Columbus.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Fuego.
There's a bottle at Market District, and they have like a local section.
Yeah, next time you see it, get it, because you will not be disappointed. It's very good.
I don't know where this is. Like where else you can get it. Right now, it's obviously at Market District. That's where I bought it. It's little oaky, little woody, pretty smooth.
Brian. Brian, you have a food channel, my dude. We are going to have to fight about this. I have done the Bourbon Trail more times than I care to share with you, my man. There is a bar. It's one of the coolest bars. I don't even remember what it's called. It's in Louisville, and it's like a speakeasy. And in order to get into the speakeasy in Louisville, you have to answer like bourbon questions, and you have to get it right.
Ooh.
And it's one of the questions, Brian. Bourbon is American. It is not Kentucky. You better knock this off. Don't make me turn this show into Garage Bourbons, okay, pal? Don't make me turn it into Garage Bourbons.
Crazy Garage Bourbon. That's a feisty show. Fire.
Oh yeah.
All right, so Camryn, let's get into more current events with the Browns, and the current events with the Browns is all about the coach, and we've had 10 coach openings in the NFL, which is wild, and some of those openings have been filled. We've got Tennessee has filled theirs, Miami's filled theirs, the Giants have filled theirs. Reports are that the Baltimore Ravens are close to filling theirs. Who am I missing?
Raiders.
Stefanski
Titans.
to Atlanta.
Mhm.
Hello.
Solid Titans.
Yeah, Atlanta was the one I was missing.
Atlanta.
So half of them have basically been filled. And the Cleveland Browns are still sitting there with this group of guys. You've got Jim Schwartz. You've got Grant Udinski. You got Shieldhouse out of Los Angeles. And who am I missing? Oh, the kid, the guy from Cincinnati.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Todd Monken and Jesse Minter.
No, Monken's going with Harbaugh.
Yes, he is, but he had a second interview. So
No, the guy from Cincinnati. What's the offensive
Dan
coordinator?
Pitcher?
Yeah. Is he like out? I think
Not
they have a second interview with him, don't they? What am I missing?
No.
I think they have 4 second interviews.
They had their second interview with Jim Schwartz on Monday,
Yeah.
Todd Monken on Tuesday. Mike McDaniel was supposed to be today, but he withdrew himself from consideration as he goes to the Chargers to be their OC. We've got Grant Udinski coming up. Jesse Minter, I think, is tomorrow. Grant Udinski is on Friday, and they can't interview Nate Shieldhouse until Monday.
Next week, yeah.
But Dan Pitcher is, at this point, not.
Okay. All right. So maybe I had that wrong. But just kind of seeing where things are going. There's a couple things I want to ask you about. And I want to start with the 2 most frustrating words in Cleveland Browns football right now, which is Rooney Rule. I don't know if you get asked about this as much as we do with the OBR, but it's what everybody is talking about is the Rooney Rule, which again, I know you heard this if you watched my last show with Fred, but you have to interview 2 minority candidates. It has to be in person, and you cannot get out of it in any way, shape, or form. Like, there's no getting around it. I know people get weird about it, but like, even if a lot of people asked us if they interview Shieldhouse and hire him, is that fine? No, you still have to interview a second Rooney Rule candidate. But I guess I'm gonna be very blunt and honest with everybody. Here's what's frustrating to me about the way the Cavs are the fans are handling this Browns process. The general manager of the Cleveland Browns is a Harvard-educated black man. Do you think that he's going to try to bypass the Rooney Rule? Do you think he's going to try to skim the Rooney Rule? I think, if anything, this is one of the ultimate guys that is going to take this thing seriously. And he's not just going to bring in a guy just to satisfy the rule, unless it's like an absolute necessity. I think what you're seeing out of the Cleveland Browns, and Camryn, you tell me your impression, but in my opinion, what you're seeing out of the Cleveland Browns is a very pragmatic, very Andrew Berry-like way of approaching this coaching search. And I think he's trying to use the Rooney Rule to his advantage. I think he's not just going to interview somebody who's black because they're black, or somebody who's Hispanic because they're Hispanic, or a woman because they're a woman. He's going to try to find somebody that he thinks, well, I might like this person. Maybe it's not even for the head coach, but maybe it's for another coaching position. And I think from a fan's perspective, it's frustrating to watch other teams filling out their coaching positions. But it's striking to me how many people think that Andrew Berry, of all people, would do this any differently.
No, and he certainly wouldn't. The Rooney Rule, and I can understand when you're watching and you're looking and you're like, oh, this in some scenarios you're like, this doesn't make sense in the way that it is applied. But it kind of has to be blanketed because you can't, like, I think of the Browns right now. The Browns are an organization that quite literally does not need to implement a Rooney Rule scenario because they are diverse. They have all this diversity. Their GM, who is leading the search, is black, and that's great. But like, that's not always the case. And so that is why the Rooney Rule has to exist, because it hasn't always been the case, and opportunities were not always afforded equally to people of different backgrounds. And that's just the reality of it. And I think, me personally, I would like to see some kind of application. It's not as easy because, it's ownership, but ownership is not diverse. Ownership is not diverse. We've gotten to a point where it's great in the NFL, and I love that there has been so much diversity from ethnicity to gender. These roles have been filled by so many people from different backgrounds, and that's great. And you can argue if you want, but I won't listen to you, because it's great to have people from different backgrounds in any scenario you are in.
You're not getting arguments here. So that's
not here. Wherever this might go into the void, Twitter is a hellscape sometimes.
Yep.
But I don't know, like I understand and I fully appreciate the implementation of the Rooney Rule. But then you get into this situation where it's like, okay, well, this is one time where it doesn't really work out this way. This is a little, now it feels, because of where the Browns are at in their coaching search. And if you take the big picture look, it maybe shouldn't be that way, right? In only this scenario, because they had candidates. One withdrew himself from consideration. Mike McDaniel would have been a Rooney Rule qualifier, right? He took himself out of the mix. You have Nate Shieldhouse, who is coming in on Monday or early next week, and that's great. Like, that's one, but who is two? And so now you're exploring outside of maybe the pool of candidates you thought you had narrowed down. And it does extend the search now, because you're doing it not because you have to, because, like, of course, there's a track record of this organization that they do, like, they truly value what those candidates, minority candidates,
100%.
the untraditional coaches that you aren't seeing a lot of, the unrepresented people. This organization has valued that immensely. And so, but now it does feel as if, like, you're stretching this thing out because you have to, and because it gets a little awkward, right? It's like, okay, well, are they just bringing this guy in or this girl in because, like, they have to do this? It makes things a little weird. And so that's where this is the level of Rooney Rule where I am now, okay, well, that doesn't really work out that way. That it's lost on me a little bit. It is a very important thing that the league implemented to create positive change, but it needs, this is one of those, like, oh, this is a hiccup in what it is intending to do.
But let's apply it moving forward, because your explanation was phenomenal, but let's apply it moving forward with the Browns, because I think what a lot of people are thinking now is, okay, well, so the Browns are going to call some candidate now whoever it is, and they're going to be like, can we interview you? And the candidate's going to be like, I know why you want to interview me. Like, I know what you have to satisfy, but we know Andrew Berry. And again, I think we always have to come back to the fact that we're talking about a black man that's running this search, who's making these calls to these candidates. And I highly doubt these candidates are going to be like, you just want to Rooney rule me. Like, so I would imagine Andrew Berry's approach to this situation is going to be to try to bring somebody, not just to try to get a guy in here to interview them, but to bring somebody of value, maybe somebody they could see filling out their staff. Maybe somebody they could see a part of the organization and who they want to get a closer look at. And yeah, maybe it extends the process a little bit, but like Andrew Berry's not just going to like half-ass this because he needs to Rooney rule it, right?
No, absolutely not.
Right.
And that is what will happen. Like exactly what you said. Whoever is brought in as a candidate forced in some capacity. You have to look around the league, and it's not just it's every team. Some of these head coaching interviews where a guy is a coordinator's coming in to interview for the head coaching role. We know going to be a head coach. They are interviewing for the potential to be an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator. Some of these offensive coordinators interviewing for head coaching opportunities aren't play callers in their current role. So, that's an upgrade. If I don't get head coach, which likely you won't, I could take an offensive coordinator role in this organization and call plays. And that's a promotion. That's an upgrade. That's not a lateral move. That is forward progress in your career. That then sets the stage for you to be a head coach in 1, 2, 3 years. Like these are things that happen in every organization. Every team that says, we've interviewed so-and-so for this head coaching. That's not going to be and some of those guys will go back to the team in their coordinator roles in different capacities, because at the end of the day, head coaching interviews are a great foundation to get a feel for a guy as well. Do you eliminate them as a head coach candidate? Often, yes. That's why you narrow down the list. But just because they're not ready to be a head coach or not ready to be a head coach for your organization doesn't mean you don't appreciate what they've got. And so if Andrew Berry brings someone in for a head coaching opportunity interview and they satisfy the Rooney Rule, that doesn't mean that he's just bringing them in because they are a minority and they apply to the Rooney Rule. They could be your offensive coordinator. They could be your defense, like they could be your special teams coordinator. Like you like these are things that are realistic in the league, and it's not just the Browns right now. That's how the Browns will approach it, but that is not unique to the Browns in this scenario. It's happening right now across the league. Like these are things that are happening everywhere.
But it's it's a thing that can throw a coach a bone a little bit too. Like, yes, do we need to qualify or do we need to satisfy this Rooney Rule? Yes, we do. And do we really think you're going to be the head coach of the Cleveland Browns? Maybe not. But again, I brought this up on the last show too. One only needs to look at like the relationship between like Andrew Berry and Kwesi in Minnesota. And if you're a candidate and Andrew Berry calls you and says, hey, we want to bring you in for an interview, and maybe you know why they have to bring you in for an interview, but you come in and kick ass in that interview. And then all of a sudden, Minnesota's looking for a new offensive or defensive or whatever coordinator, and that's a step up for you. Or maybe one of Kwesi's guys gets hired as a general manager somewhere else, and they're trying to find a new coach, and Kwesi calls Andrew Berry, and Andrew Berry's like, yes, I got a guy. You got to talk to this guy. He blew us away. Like, there's a lot of valid reasons why somebody takes the interview. Like, maybe you don't think you're going to be the next coach of the Browns, but I do think there's an element of legitimacy with Berry, and I think there's an element of trust that these people are going to have coming into this going, I don't think he's just trying to like exploit me. I don't think he's trying to waste my time. I think I can benefit from this.
Yeah, I think the only awkward part about it is that the external knowledge that the Browns do need somebody to meet the Rooney Rule requirements. But what will happen internally will not be that awkward. Like, yeah, sure, you might sit across from him. Like,
that's a great point.
Knowing that, like, okay, like obviously I meet this requirement, but this is an opportunity for me. You see it in every position. And not just like going in because you might have a coordinator job or another role in that organization. it is never a bad thing to have the experience of interviewing for a head coach. It's the same with GMs.
Right.
Assistant GMs interviewing for general manager positions on other teams doesn't mean they're going to get that. But what does it do? It builds your experience level. It builds how you interview and
your network.
And exactly. You are then prepared. You are one step closer to where you need to be, because half of the battle is doing well in your interview and convincing what you can do for a team. And if you are a coordinator who hasn't had an interview and they bring you in, and maybe you don't have the experience, so you didn't come with a good plan, you didn't like lay out everything you needed because you didn't know exactly what to expect. Well, now you have that experience. So in the next cycle, when people have your name on their radar, okay, I didn't do this, and this at this interview. So now I'm going to come correct. I can better myself. And it prepares you for that next coaching cycle, because every season it's a coaching cycle. Every season a team moves on from their coach. And so every season there's an opportunity for growth in this league. And so you can't say no to an opportunity. And it's not just in the NFL. That's for any college kid that's listening right now. You say yes to every opportunity because you don't know what a door can open once you walk through it. And that's the same what's going to happen here is whoever comes in, well, they just got one step closer to getting to where they might want to be one day. And by taking that opportunity and hearing out and getting that experience interviewing for a head coaching role in an NFL organization where there are only 32 jobs.
So it all leads to this. Camryn Justice, one word answer, because fans are concerned. Is this situation McDaniel pulling out? Now they're going to have to there's going to be another name that gets added to this list of interviews. Is the Rooney Rule going to be a hindrance to the Cleveland Browns finding their head coach?
No.
Thank you.
No.
That's it. That's good. That's all we needed. Fans need to hear that, and that's great.
It might delay it. But it won't hinder it.
But again, we're not hearing anything until like middle to end of next week at the earliest anyways.
And that's the thing. Like if anything, it's a blessing that it happened. That Mike McDaniel had his interview scheduled on Wednesday and not the Friday interview, because that gives them tomorrow. That gave him today, because he did it yesterday. Gave him today, gave him tomorrow. It gives them Friday and Saturday and Sunday before they even have Nate Scheelhaus available to be in-house for his interview. So you've got days to figure this out. You've got days to reach out, expand your network, reach out, see some candidates that maybe slipped your radar or that you were on your list, but you narrowed it down already. And okay, well, let's add them to the list, because that's another thing. We have an initial list of interest, the people that they called first, but that's not the whole list. They clearly,
right.
There's a larger list of guys that didn't get the phone call right away because they made their phone calls and they had their pool of 10 coaches. And at some point you got to narrow the pool down, and you can't create an ocean of candidates because you'll never be able to narrow it down.
Right.
But there is a list of other people that maybe just didn't quite make the cut initially that you might be able to go back and look at. So they have plenty of time right now to go back to that list. I'm curious to find out who is on it, like who it is, who comes in, because maybe it's somebody that intrigues everybody. Like maybe it's someone that nobody was really talking about, and when you see the name, you think, oh, wait a minute, let me think about that. Like let me envision what that could be, because that's what Grant Udinski. He wasn't on anybody's radar. Nobody.
Well, I love how everybody's acting like they're an expert on Grant Udinski at this point.
I know. And he was not, when you were mid-season, even towards the end of the season, I don't know I would love, and obviously there's probably somebody that was like, that's the guy. But I don't know one person in Cleveland that was like, they should go out and get this guy as a head coach. Nope. And now when you see and you're looking at him and you're deep diving into him a little bit more, exactly what the front office has to do to a higher scale. When you're deep diving and you're seeing, oh, that's a great fit. Oh, he is well respected. Oh, they speak highly about him. Oh, I love his press conferences.
Oh, the people Andrew Berry respects really love this guy.
And that you'd find that out after you learn about somebody. But Grant Udinski was not somebody, I would say 95% or more of people in Cleveland had on their radar as a guy that might come in here. And now if you scrolling on social media on any platform, people are really into it. And I love that. I love that he's a candidate that people are bought into. I think Jim Schwartz is up there as people that I like, fans thinking like, I can see that. Acceptable hires. Nate Scheelhaus, a lot of people I've seen like finding ways to say that's a good fit. That could work here.
So that leads me into the next thing for Camryn Justice, and Joe, chime in, man. I know. Listen, I'm not an expert. I've said this so many times. I've read so much about Scheelhaus and Udinski and whatever. I'm not an expert on these guys, and frankly, nobody knows. Nobody knows what's going to happen with the next head coach. The New York Giants have no idea if the Harbaugh experiment is going to work there. He had great success in Baltimore. Is it going to work in New York? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. But we know they've got the familiar defensive Jim Schwartz has made a hell of a name for himself. He was the assistant coach of the year last year. Man, what he's done with this defense and the players out there. You've got, again, Todd Monken, who, again, most people are saying he's probably going with Harbaugh to New York, but he still has an interview with the Browns. So you've got the former offensive coordinator of the Browns from 2019 in Monken. You've got the two young guys in Scheelhaus and in Udinski. And then you've got Minter, who I still associate with cheating at Michigan. And so I don't really love that, except for if he comes in and blows things away. Again, a lot of reports out there. So we know those guys. Here's what we don't know. We have no idea if they've talked to any college guys, because they do not have to report that, because it can totally screw over a college if they do, with the transfer portal and all that. And like once a college finds out that their coach is talking to a pro team, it can really mess things up. So for all the people panicking about things, we don't know that they haven't talked about their head coaching position with some kind of off the wall, like a college candidate. I know a lot of people were talking about maybe Marcus Freeman getting into the mix, whatever. Which I would love, by the way. But where does Camryn Justice's gut kind of take her right now, as far as knowing Andrew Berry, watching him in his role, knowing, he's got full say on this? I mean, Jimmy Haslam's in there, but there isn't another guy in his ear anymore, as far as, different guys that maybe chief strategy officers or whatever with the Browns. This is all, and remember, Andrew Berry didn't get to hire a head coach in Kevin Stefanski. It was Stefanski that was a part of hiring Andrew Berry. So this is his first time getting to do this. What's your gut telling you on how this is going to look?
I think it's, I don't want to say a coin flip, because that's not really an answer, but I think there are two ways the Browns can go, and one way gives them one candidate and the other way gives them two options. If they are feeling less risky, if they're trying to play it a little safe, and not to say that it would be a bad thing, but I think the safer bet is to keep in house and go with Jim Schwartz. You don't risk the locker room not being bought in, because they're bought into Jim Schwartz. He's respected in all three phases of the game. On the Browns, everybody in that locker room, I think, respects the hell out of Jim Schwartz, and he's led the best unit on the team.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a clear answer that is not as risky in some different capacities. It's not necessary. I don't say that to say it's a safe, it's a safe bet. They're not even trying. They're just shooing him in. I don't think that is a fair thing, but it inherently comes with less risk.
Right.
Now, the other side of the coin is, and what I personally think, with seeing how Andrew Berry has operated in other areas, I do think that he values a young, unique, up and coming candidate. I think that he sees the value in providing an opportunity to somebody who has shown that they might be able to be explosive if given that opportunity. And that's kind of the model in the NFL right now, is like every team kind of would love to have that young up and coming guy, the next Sean McVay, as everyone says, right? That's a goal for every team. Like, you would love to have that, because they're not on tape. They've got schemes and wrinkles and things that they can put out there that no one has seen yet because they haven't done it before. And that in itself is an advantage any single game for the first season. Any matchup, as you get in, you obviously start to see things on tape as the season goes on. But those first few games, teams aren't going to know exactly. You think you got one thing, and and I think it's Grant Udinski has that quality. Nate Shieldhouse is why I think that he is I wish that he had been a coordinator, because I think I would lean and group him more with Grant Udinski. I think Grant Udinski is a little bit edges him out a tiny bit just because he is a coordinator right now, and Shieldhouse doesn't have the coordinator experience. Not to necessarily say that you need it if you're going to hire, like you might take that risk and think like he's got the stuff. He doesn't even need it. We trust him. But I do think like having that coordinator experience is a level up. But in the same capacity, Nate Shieldhouse, with his pre-snap concepts and the motions and the creativity he's got that the Browns have truly lacked.
And the McVay connection. Everybody loves the McVay connection.
And it's there, and you see it in the offense, and you see it in the pass game and what they're doing, and that's Shieldhouse. That's his brain up there. Like those are the concepts that he's creating, and he can only that's only some of him though, right? Because he's the pass game coordinator specialist. Like he's not the offensive coordinator. He's not Sean McVay. Like they're not in that room. He's not creating the playbook. He's just helping. So some of those wrinkles are him. You give him the opportunity to reach into the bag, you don't know what you're going to get. And so I think that is the pro of having young up and comers that might not have the experience of being a head coach, but they've got something that's truly, when you get into a veteran coach, as much as they might be able to be innovative and change some things up, people know who they are at their core. Like you can only do so much. And then it's a challenge for them too. Like Jim Schwartz then faces the challenge of, okay, second head coaching opportunity. Not only do you have to step up to that task, but you have to also step up to the task of kind of reinventing yourself. And can you put together a team that is capable of breaking down this modern era? Because it was a while ago, he was head coach. Football has changed in the past 5 years, 10 years, 15. And so I think the coaches that have that back experience have a unique challenge of their own. Is, can you keep up? Can you get up to speed? Where the young guys are, they're the ones that are creating that innovation. They're the ones that are changing the league. And so they don't have the experience, but they're behind some of these things that we're starting to see shift in offenses and shift on the field and shift in game planning. It's because those are the guys that are creating these new ideas, because I've seen them before. This is their first time out there. So I am 50-50. If they lean, I know it's a terrible thing to like.
That was so good. That was so great, though. There's no answer to it, but it was so great.
I know, but okay, if it's not a young up and comer, if it's not Grant Udinski, I think it's Jim Schwartz. I think it was probably Grant Udinski over Nate Shieldhouse, simply because, and he could blow them away in the interview, and I could be totally wrong right now. But right now, as it stands, I think the Browns really are high on Grant Udinski, as they should be, because they're not alone. But now that's the other problem. Cat's out of the bag, baby. Like people are hearing, like, maybe we should give this guy a chance. And he's interviewed well. So
I think it's a little naive. I saw that.
It's not. It was not a secret.
I was going to say, I saw that, and I think it's a little naive to say, oh, the Browns are the team that knew about Udinski and nobody else did. Like
the NFL knows, because if the Jags know, and
correct,
putting it out there, they're all watching, absolutely. But the Browns were the ones to bite first. We'll say that. So
real quick, Camryn, do you have a dark horse? Do you have again, we're definitely gonna have to add at least one name to this list. Is there, I don't know that you've even looked into it this much, but do you have a dark horse? Is there somebody that you think, oh, that would be a great person to add to this list?
I have not looked at it, because as of yesterday, I thought, okay, well, they'll have all their guys and they'll figure it out. And now I'm like, oh, they have to bring somebody in. And I had a full day of not Browns stuff today.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah. No, I had to Brian Polian is the new head coach at John Carroll University.
Yes,
and
he
so
is.
he announced himself as the new head coach.
It's easy when you just name yourself as the coach. Can Andrew Barry do that?
That was a very funny part of the he said, I've been getting teased a lot that I've hired myself. The interview process was strenuous.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
So I've been out and about doing some other local stories. So I have not deep dove into the possible candidates around the league, some coordinators, things like that. I fully intend to do that tonight and in the morning. And I'm sure by the time I wake up to finish that, the name will be out there already.
Well, and we got one here in the comments. I like the British dude, but they did interview Aiden Dirty from Seattle, and kind of in the same boat as Shieldhouse. You can't talk to him again until next week. So I wonder. Again, I don't want to make everything about the damn Rooney Rule.
I know,
but Aiden Dirty is a guy that would satisfy the Rooney Rule.
Yes, and the only thing that makes that, the only thing that is in question is just then because he didn't get the second interview scheduled right away, and until this moment,
is that why they're doing
it? Yeah. But again,
they got to do it. They're going to have to do it. So
yes, and look, and is it a bad thing to bring in Aiden Dirty?
No, I kind of liked him. He was one of my favorites they brought in the first time.
Look at Seattle's defense. How can you be mad about bringing in somebody who's leading a unit that is that successful? That's great to have, even just because these interviews too, right? So, they are formal in some area questions that they need to be asked, but it's also a feel you out process. You're pitching your stuff. You're also like, okay, who are you as a person? What do you need as a person? How
do you fit in?
Yes. How would Cleveland fit into your lifestyle? Here's what we've got here. And so like, it's not a bad thing to go talk to people. If someone wants to fly you out for a free trip to a city that we got the rock
Destination
and roll
Cleveland, baby.
We've got the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We have so much. We have got great food scene.
We have the future site of Huntington Bank Field,
Brook Park, baby. Go check it out.
Yep.
I'd avoid the Crazy Horse at all costs.
Probably not a great place that feels like a place where that ends up as one of those TMZ style ESPN stories that eventually we don't
have to move that. We're gonna have
They're
to.
They're not gonna do their interview dinner there.
No, probably not. Yeah. Probably not.
But we're gonna have to move that.
But you have an opportunity to, I have friends who have been out of state and either gone out of state for interviews or come into state for interviews after they've left the state. And you don't say no because it might be a city that you're not vacationing to Cleveland probably. If your vacations are probably, the more weather controlled areas, the more, Cleveland's not a hot spot for a vacation.
Talking about Grand Rapids?
Yes, that's where everyone's
totally.
tropical, Pittsburgh and Cincinnati are really fighting for us down here. Cleveland is probably not a place that a lot of people would go to vacation. So, but if you can go to a city that you've never been to, I really love that. I love to go to places and just check it out. Like, would I go there normally? Probably not. There are places I wouldn't go out of my way to go to. I wouldn't plan a trip to
Lincoln, Nebraska. Let's go.
Indianapolis. I would not go out of my way to just go to Indianapolis because I'm a Midwest city. I live in Northeast Ohio. It's right next door. It's the same city. Why would I go?
Same thing.
The same climate. But when I went to Indianapolis, I was pleasantly surprised by the city. And now when I go back for the combine, or if I'm going out there I go to concerts out there. I have a friend that works out there now. If I'm going out there, I'm pleasantly surprised by the city. It's clean. It's
got those indoor walkways.
You can walk around the city inside. It's so, but that's an example. Nice. If you bring in somebody who wants to just check out what Cleveland has to offer, you say yes.
That's what makes those people weak, by the way. It's what makes them weak in Indianapolis.
You know what?
You get outdoors.
You can say that, but I would love interconnected walkways in Cleveland. I thought about it. Akron too. Look at the University of Akron. I was like walking at John Carroll today, and their new buildings are all connected. And I thought this would have been nice. I remember walking the campus at Akron, and it's a wind tunnel. And I'm walking from anyone who's watching from Akron will get this. I had classes at Olin, and then I had to walk to Polsky. That is a 20-minute walk. It is the furthest parts of the campus, and I had to make that walk in December, and that was terrible. And I wish I would have had some tunnels some interconnected buildings. All that to say, Cleveland is a good city, and I'm
Hell yeah.
whoever is the dark horse, whoever is the candidate that we don't know, or somebody maybe like an agent dirty who's getting that second interview now, come to Cleveland, check it out. Not just because the Rooney Rule, not just because you're interviewing for head coach, but also to check out the food and the buildings and all the cool stuff we've had.
Part of the fun of this, Camryn, is like you're somebody we very much trust because you are tied in and you bring great insight. Part of the fun of all this is nobody has a flipping clue what the Browns are going to do. You have no idea what they're going to wind up with. I know it's frustrating watching Titans have their coach and the Dolphins have their coach and the Falcons have their coach and the Ravens are getting their coach and the Giants have their coach. But again, most of those coaches and most of those hires don't really affect the process of what the Browns are doing. They haven't really been anything that's impacted the Browns. I think the first thing that's really impacted the Browns is Baltimore and Minter. And now you've got Buffalo talking to Udinsky. It doesn't mean they're going after him. But we don't know. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going to happen until we do. And it's probably going to be another week and a half until we really have kind of a clearer picture. So, Camryn, this was a blast. It was fun not just talking and trying to guess what the hell the Browns were going to do, which we were so good at that first year we did it, and we've been really bad at it ever since. But we'll try to get our revenge next year. But, Camryn, thank you so much for coming on with us tonight. It's been a blast talking Browns with you. It's been a blast just catching up with you, and learned about a new bourbon tonight. And you set off like a bourbon argument in the comments. Like a whole bourbon conversation in the comments.
And listen, maybe next time I got some scotch back there on the bar. I've got a new tequila I haven't tried. I might switch it up. I might not do beer on the show anymore. I might have to just try out some of the things that are unopened on my bar. This might be where I experiment it.
Camryn, I still remember your first drink you ever had with us.
Oh, I don't even remember what it was. What was it?
I do. I remember 100%. You brought a mule on and you were like,
oh,
is this cool? Is this okay if I have this? And I was like, yes.
You know what? I do remember because I had just gotten my copper bar set.
Yes.
I was in a very strong mule era. That's all I was drinking. I was making mules every night. I was like, I just learned how to make mules in my copper shaker. Like, look at me. I'm so cool.
And it was like August too, which is like not
perfect mule season.
Every season is mule season. You just got to add the right kind of flavor into it.
All right.
I will say every time we have you on, everything erupts. Camryn's coming on Garage Beers. And we feel that way too. It's great to have you as a friend. It's great to have a drink with you and talk sports. And again, like a lot of our friends we've made here on Garage Beers, we are very lucky to have you here in Cleveland, covering our favorite sports teams. The Cavs got a win tonight. The second half wasn't pretty, but they did get the win. They did get the win, and that's all that matters. But we really appreciate you coming on, talking everything Cleveland Browns with us. And, we'll be reaching out again, sometime around that August area. Sometime around that August where I have to put together some graphics and we got to talk about a Brown schedule.
We will do the schedule game and I will probably be wrong again. I don't know if I'm getting jaded. We'll see if I have a silver linings approach or not. Well, it all comes down to who they hire at head coach.
Like I said, we got the NFC South this year. I think, we have a little more flexibility.
They lost to the Jets and the Titans this year. What are we doing here?
I thought we were getting away from not rehashing the schedule. I was like, because sometimes we go like mid-season marker right at the end to recap it. I'm like, maybe not this year. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
I love this team and I hate this team all at the same time. Camryn, nothing but love for you, though. Camryn from Channel 5 here in Cleveland. We really appreciate you coming on with us. Go follow Camryn online at Camryn Justice, and we'll catch up with you soon. Thanks for coming on, Camryn.
Thank you for having me. I'm going to go finish this bourbon, guys.
See ya. How about Camryn Justice? There's a reason Camryn Justice is like the most guested guest on Garage Beers. And it's because she's just the best. She's just great. So big shout out to Camryn Justice. Make sure you go follow her. We're not going to do literally anything else on this show. I am working on a Guardians episode. Now, listen, we've got episode 3. Hold on. Wait a minute. Can't say episode 300 without putting that up there. We got episode 300 coming, and I know we've got a Cleveland baseball legend coming on, confirmed already. But we're also we're getting ready to do a Guardians episode. We'll do that probably in February at some point, but we've got some more great guests coming up. We got episode 300 coming up. So just all good things going on with
And
Garage
also,
Beers. What?
Speaking of Guardians, man, I'm going to the season opener here in Seattle.
True.
Maybe all 4 games.
You are.
And a home opener in Cleveland. This is going to be like an incredible start to the season. I'm so excited for Guardians ball to kick off again.
Yeah.
Lack of postseason moves or off-season moves aside, I'm sure we'll be fine.
Correct. Yeah. Well, we'll get into
the offseason.
We'll get into all of it because nothing has happened, but also at the same time, it's like the offseason where I don't feel terrible about it. So we'll get into it. But Joe, let's do cheers of the week and then get out of here. You got a cheers for this week?
I got to cheers my dad. It's his birthday.
Hell yeah, it is today.
Year.
Browns Bandito.
Cheers to the Browns Bandito on his birthday.
Oh my God. Okay, hold on. Can I give like a secondary cheers to Phil is not a bot? Not to be too cheesy.
Aww.
Which, by the way, we had a full-on nacho cheese conversation before. So fuck yeah. This is the most enjoyable Cleveland pod, hands down. So much fun. Yeah, hell yeah. That's the whole point. And again, 6 years into this, and we hope you guys just feel like you're hanging out in the garage with us and talking sports and beers. And yeah, man, this is so cool. It's so fun to do this, and cannot wait for episode 300. I hope you guys just get all the way into it. Remember that bourbon is American. It's not from Kentucky, no matter what Chef Brian K says. But no, just
he researched. Got to give him props.
No. Wrong. No, this has been a blast of an episode, a great one. Great cheers to your dad. I'm not going to top that. I've got other cheers that I would like to do, but I'll save those for future episodes because your dad's birthday is today. And El Brown's Bandito is another year older, and I think I'm going out with him for margaritas tomorrow. So I'm pretty excited about that. So to have a little bit of that. All right, that's going to do it for us here on episode 298. Last order of business for us is just to get to our thank yous. First of all, big thank you to the OBR for hosting us. Get over to the OBR.com. Hold on. Boom. There it is. QR code on the screen. Scan it. Make sure you are subscribed to everything OBR at the OBR.com, the oldest, largest independent Browns coverage site in all of Cleveland. And frankly, one of the great communities talking Browns in all of Cleveland. So make sure you are tuned into everything OBR. Hit the subscribe button there. Next thank you goes to Camryn Justice hanging out with us the back half of the show. It's like a reverse show for us, but Camryn Justice was a blast. She is always one of our favorite guests, and she always will be. So big shout out to Camryn. Go follow her online at Cammy Justice from Channel 5 in Cleveland. And our last thank you goes out to all of you. The chat is just always great, man. Chris, great. Chef Brian K, happy birthday, Joe Dad. Love that, Joe Dad. I'm going to call him that. I'm calling that tomorrow.
Yep.
Phil, man, thank you for the good words. Everybody that joined us, there were a lot of you guys in the comments tonight. So everybody that joined us, big shout out to you. And remember, if you can't join us live on a Wednesday at 9 p.m., you can always catch us on the podcast, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or you can go back on YouTube, Twitch, and watch us later. So we really appreciate you guys. That is going to do it for tonight's show. For Chad, who wasn't able to be here, but we still love him anyways at Garage Beers Chad. For Joe at Garage Beers Joe, I am Michael Keefe. Go follow the show at The Garage Beers on all the socials. And we will see you next week for the last episode of the 200s, episode 299. Until then, cheers, everybody.